Namaste, everybody, and welcome. My name is Pooja, and I'm a Mohanji Acharya from Canada. Today, I have a privilege to have a conversation with Preeti Duggal. Preeti Duggal is based in Bangalore, India, and is also a Mohanji Acharya. We are going to learn about her transformational journey with Mohanji. She's also had a lot of opportunities to be in close contact with Mohanji. So we're going to learn a lot more things about Mohanji from Preeti Duggal. Please join me in welcoming Preeti Didi, as I call her. Namaste, Preeti Didi.
Thank you. Thank you, Pooja. Jai Mohanji to
Jai
all.
Mohanji. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. It's a privilege and an honor to be here talking about somebody who has not only been like a guru, I would say, but like a parent who has always held our hand and taken us through this path of life. And I don't think so. If I look back, my association with him has been for 9 years now.
Wow.
And I don't think that I would ever had such an experience of life without him. And if ever I would say that if I have another birth to come, I would love to come back with him ever, always.
Amazing, amazing. So Preeti, we'll start a little bit at the beginning about your journey. So when and how did you know Mohanji was your guru?
It's a very interesting story in the sense that I initially from 1989 was following Shirdi Baba. Like many of our followers, Mohanji's followers have been Shirdi Baba Bhakts, and somehow Baba took us to Mohanji. So it's very similar story that from 2000, I would say 10 onwards, I had started telling Baba that Baba, and I used to have communions with Baba. Like Baba used to talk with me and answer to my questions. And I used to be in trance many times. I'm not saying that I was very spiritual or something, but somehow I used to get my answers from Baba instantly. And I sometimes used to see him in front of me, talking to me. So I was always arguing with him, I would say, because for me, Baba was like when you say Baba, like a father, yeah. I never took him as like Shirdi Baba or something, but Baba in my heart was like a father. So I said, Baba, I don't understand what you have to say because I have a very gross mind. I need somebody in my life who is like who I can be in touch with, whom I can talk to, who can guide me as a teacher, as a guardian. And 3 years, every time when I asked this question to Baba, he would always say, wait, there's still some time to reach there. Yeah. And then suddenly in 2012, April, because of some circumstances, I was shifted from Delhi to Bangalore. And I never knew anybody here, not even a soul. So for me, it was like moving from India to some alien country. Though I was moving just from Delhi to Bangalore, I never knew a soul here. And every time when I asked Baba that, why are you sending me to Bangalore? He would say, there's something awaiting you. And that was what is it, that within 6 months of my shifting to Bangalore, I met Mohanji through a friend.
Amazing. So did you know right away when you met him that he's your guru, or he's what you were asking Mohanji Baba for?
No. I always, because the friend who introduced me to Mohanji, yeah, she never told me that he was like a guru. She said he's an elevated person, a scholar who knows life better than all of us, yeah, as normal humans. And she gifted me his Power of Purity. And when I went through about 10, 12, 15 pages of Power of Purity, it just struck me that this is something that I was looking for. This is where I need to be there. And then I was introduced to Devi's sister, Daniela. At that time, she was staying in Bangalore and she was conducting Power of Purity meditations every week at her place. So I used to go to her place for meditations, and every time during the meditation, I would see Mohanji around in the room. I have been blessed, I would say, by Almighty and the masters that I am a little more clairvoyant than other people. So I can feel their energies, I can see them around. Yeah. So many times, like I remember at that time, she used to give Shaktipat. It was not called energy transfer at that time. Mohanji used to directly select people to give Shaktipat as he does it now. And whenever she used to give Shaktipat, I always used to feel that there are two hands on my head. Like one is hers and one is Mohanji's. Always I used to feel. And sometimes even during the meditation, I would feel that somebody kept a hand on my head, but I didn't know it was not. And when I used to ask, we used to call her Dana as a short form of her name. And she said, no, I didn't do that, but I used to feel that hand on my head. So slowly that way my connection with him started happening. And then this was somewhere in, I would say, June, July. And then this continued. I met him in October, sometime in October in Delhi. And I asked him this question, just when are you coming to Bangalore? And it was so surprising that I just met him once in physical Vinicity. I met him only once in March. March 2013, I met him. And I was skeptical if he would remember my name or remember me, because I just met him for an hour or so. And the moment he saw me, he acknowledged me as if he knew me for years. And I was like surprised, how does he remember me? And then I just, like, talking to him casually, I asked him, when are you coming to Bangalore next? And he said, the day you start doing Power of Purity meditation at your place. I was a little surprised. Why would I be conducting meditation? I'm still so new to this. I'm going to Dana's house. And there are so many other members there who have been following him for a couple of years now. And I was just like a baby in the whole tradition. And I didn't know much about the tradition, what tradition it is. Except for Shirdi Baba, I knew nothing that what is Nath tradition, Datta tradition. I was very naive on all that things. I was never very ritualistic on thoughts. On me, neither did I have that kind of a knowledge with me. So, but as masters know better than us, when I came back to Bangalore, Dana called me up and she said that her husband has been transferred to Chennai. And will it be comfortable for me to conduct Power of Purity at her place? And I was like, it was like a shock coming to me, because he just said it and it just happened within a week's time. And you won't believe that the third meditation I conducted at my place, and I got a message from Dana that Mohanji is coming to Bangalore. And because she's traveling because of some work, she will not be able to host him in her. At that time, Mohanji never had a house in Bangalore. So she said that she won't be able to host him in the house. Will it be okay with me, convenient for him to host? That was like, my mouth was like, I was stunned, because of course it was very thrilling. But at the same time, I was really scared, because I never knew how to host a guru. I never knew how he'll react. And I had a very small house. It was a small 3-bedroom apartment. And I knew that some people also travel with him, so they will also stay. And she said he will stay only for 2-3 days and then he's traveling again. And in that period, some of my family members from Delhi were also coming. So I didn't know how to handle this, but I didn't want to say no to him. That was for sure, that I didn't want to miss this opportunity.
I would not say no either.
So I messaged Mohanji, I emailed him that will you, if it is, then Dana of course told me that, see, he never stays everywhere. You just ask him if it is comfortable with him to stay at your place. And I was so surprised that within a second, I got a message back that, yes, of course, I'll stay with you. Wow. And it was unbelievable, because I was actually very new to the tradition. I didn't know much even about Mohanji, leave alone the tradition, I didn't even know much about Mohanji as well. And I had never spoken about it to my family, my husband. He just knew that I used to go for a meditation and all, but who Mohanji is, what is his path, whatever, he knew nothing. So when he agreed, then I thought, okay, now I have to ask my family that somebody of his stature would be coming and staying with us.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, my husband took it very positively. He said, yeah, of course, he is most welcome to come, which was like, otherwise he would ask 10 questions, who, why,
Yeah.
till when, who will be accompanying
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
But that day it was as if it just went on smoothly. And
Amazing.
then the day came and I was so scared. I was calling up people who had hosted him already,
Yeah, yeah.
what he loves to eat and what he would. But the most surprising part was he was so simple. I couldn't have even thought that a guru like him would be so simple.
And he still
Uh,
is simple, Didi. And he still is very
Always.
simple.
That's his. I think that's the benchmark, or I would say
Yeah.
the beautiful part of him is
Yeah.
he adjusts. He's like that water which
Yeah.
adjusts in every situation. He is so adjustable with things.
Yeah.
You make him sleep on a posh bed of a 5-star hotel, or you make him sleep on the floor. I have got this privilege of traveling with him to many places,
Yeah.
and I can assure you on this that pathetic places we have stayed. Like, I would think twice, why would Mohanji stay at such a place? But he was so comfortable. He never ever complained about, oh, why am I staying here? And that was the time when I actually realized what is more important. What is the comfort of staying or sleeping for one night is more important, or the grace which is there
Yeah.
going with him, being with him, and the blessings which come is more important for me.
Yeah.
So that was like a transforming thing, that he just pulled you out of your comfort zone. Otherwise, it's always that, oh, you need a proper bed, the bathroom should be okay, this should be fine, because that is the way we have been groomed up.
Yeah. Yeah.
But while traveling with him,
Yeah.
I went with him to see various masters. We have traveled to pilgrimages together, and all many personal travels that he has done. I had the privilege, or I would say I was blessed enough to be with him.
Yeah.
And that was the time I really understood that what is it to be with a master. How beautifully and how subtly he transforms you, you won't even come to know. And that was the time when I actually realized, like, I will not go into the detail of it, but I would just give you a gist how it is. That we went to an ashram where we stayed for the night. Of course, his room was better,
Yeah.
but the room where I was supposed to stay, there were cobwebs around. The beds were dirty as if they have not been cleansed, or the linen has not been washed for years and months.
Yeah.
There were like mud layers on the bed. Anywhere where you touch was dirty. There was only one washroom for about 20 rooms.
Wow.
It was like more like a dharamshala.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not as an ashram, but a dharamshala,
Yeah.
and in a remote village. And the first thing, and the light was as if you would need it not more than 1 wick of a diya.
Wow. Wow.
And I was feeling, oh my God, how can I stay here? Like I was feeling claustrophobic. Should I go out and sit on the stairs for the night? But there were so many mosquitoes that you couldn't go out. You had to stay inside. But how do you sleep here? So then I remember, by chance, it was luck or something, I had one sheet with me which I took, and I put that sheet on that mud thing, and then I slept on it. And then next morning was it that you have to go to the washroom, which is like not even the basic. There is only one tap for washing or having a bath and using it for your toilet. So this thought that, my God, how many people must have used it, and what dirty and all. I went in and came out thinking, I can't have a bath here. This is impossible. I can't do this. But that very moment, something said in my mind. Is this cleanliness that you're talking about more important, or the blessing that you are with Mohanji and you're getting the grace of the other master also, whom we had gone to meet, more important for you? This is all just stationary. This is all like tomorrow when you go home, you can have as much bath as you want, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
But see the grace that has come to you. How many people could travel to meet that master?
And how
And
many
that
people
very
get,
moment,
how many people get to be with Mohanji in this capacity?
yeah,
Not a lot of people.
not hardly.
Hardly. Even within the acharyas, I don't think there are lots, and even within the Mohanji family, I don't think
Impossible.
it's not possible. You're one of the blessed souls, definitely, Didi.
So that very moment, that part, that I think that pattern within me just dropped.
Yeah.
I went in, I washed the tap once with water, and I had a good bath. Believe me, I was so refreshed. I never felt any dirt. I never felt anything else.
Yeah.
And now when I look back to it, I would say that I was just very few from the Mohanji family who got the blessing of such a stature of a master whom we had gone to meet. Because just after our meeting, about 15-20 days of our meeting, he took Samadhi.
Wow. So blessed, Didi. You're amazing. And I'm sure people that are listening, who will listen to your story, are going to feel equally blessed. Amazing. So Didi, you mentioned a few things about how you were one of those people who knew him before he became Mohanji to the world. There are very few of us who actually
No,
saw
he
him.
was already known as Mohanji. He had already started his journey in 2009 at Muscat, but in India, not too many people knew him. Like
That's
in
what
the
I meant.
sense
Sorry.
that there were just few people who in India, it was not as big as now what it is, but just few people in Delhi, Jammu, Pune, very
Few people.
selected crowd of people knew him.
Exactly. Sorry, yes, that's exactly what I meant. There were very few people who knew him. So, is there any particular thing you would like to share about your time with him when not a lot of people knew? In fact, even before he got the title of Brahma Rishi, right? Do you know any specific incident or a moment that you would want to share with us that is coming to your mind?
There have been many, Pooja. If I sit down today, I think I can spend the whole night talking about him, because I feel the times that I've spent with him in my house when he used to travel to Bangalore, that was like his last destination. Like all around the year, he would start his foreign travel from April onwards, when it used to start getting like hot in India. So he used to usually travel to Serbia, because Devi and Mila used to stay in Serbia, and he had a lot of followers in Serbia as well.
Yeah.
So in April, he used to start his journey, then go to Europe, America and all. And then he used to come in between for the Kailash trip and one or two other travels in India, and then go back again. And his last travel was to come back to Bangalore. That would be like sometime last week of the year, like the Christmas holidays or the New Year holidays. And that used to be like the best, I would say the bestest part of my life that I miss the most now. And I think whenever I talk about them, it's like I'm just filled up with so much of happiness and love. Still, I still feel goosebumps when I talk about it, because those were the best times that I have spent with him. Through him, I met Devi Amma. Through him, I met so many other masters. And the love that I have received from each and every master, of course, his love is unconditional and unimaginable. How much he has loved me and taken care of me, it's like I can't even calculate it. It's unbelievable, plus not measurable. It's unmeasurable. The way he has taken care of me, like I don't think so my own parents or my own family could ever do that.
Agreed.
He has nurtured me from what I was and what I am today. He's so caring that I can't take. But those times when I have had those opportunities when I used to sit alone with him having breakfast in the morning, or I used to massage him. Sometimes I used to put oil in his hair before he used to go for a bath, or we have gone to movies together, for cricket matches together, because
Oh,
that was that was the
amazing.
time
Amazing.
when he used to like leisure around. He said, Preeti, I feel as if this is homecoming. When I come back home, I have no inhibitions that I'm Mohanji here. I can just wear my ganji and my dhoti and I can be in the house. It was like a father who has come home. It
Wow.
was never a guru kind of a thing. In the house, he was very casual. Like if he wants to sleep, he would sleep. He would come out and sit in the living area. People coming in to talk to him. And the best part was that my house used to look like a marriage house. Like when you have marriage, and when people come in, your relatives and all. So the moment I used to know that Monji is coming, my entire furniture from the living area, because as I said, my house was not too big, used to be shifted into the common area. Like there were apartments. So I used to take permission from the association and shift my whole furniture out, because otherwise it would be impossible to cater to so many people in the house. And I used to rent in mattresses and all to be put in the house, because
Amazing.
whosoever used to come used to stay back. Like at one point, 20-25 people are living in the house,
Wow.
eating, sleeping, living, because till the time Monji is there, they would like to come. And that was also a time, because in Europe and America, it used to be like holiday time. So most of NRIs used to travel to India. So when they used to know that Monji is in Bangalore, they would come down to Bangalore, and everybody used to stay there. So my house used to have a community kitchen, 5 people making chapatis, 2 people chopping vegetables, 5 people laying food. And it was never an inhibition for him that people like he cannot eat with people or something. And also people local, when they came to know Monji liked something, they used to cook food and bring in as a prasad. So it used to be like a complete feast. Like every evening from 6 o'clock, we would start, we would have a meditation or something, then a satsang, and then a community, I would say, feast. So 5 people sitting on the floor, 5 with him on the chair.
It reminds me of Radha Krishna Mai from Shirdi Sai Baba.
Oh yes, it was very, very similar.
It just
very
reminds me
similar.
of that when you're sharing all this. So what is Mohanji's favorite food? You have been with Mohanji so personally, right? So what is it something he really loves eating?
He's an avaduta, Pooja.
Yeah.
So many people, whenever he has traveled, people used to call me up and ask, what does he love to eat? And I would tell them, oh, he loves this. And the moment he would reach there, he said, no, I'm not eating this. So he's a complete avaduta. You don't know what he would love to eat. Like 2 days, he would love some particular thing. Like I remember he used to love puchkas, like the golgappas that we get, the Indian chaat. He used to love them. Like, and I remember Subhashri also used to make them specially. And I also used to, whenever he used to come to Bangalore, and now he completely doesn't even touch it. There were times when he used to love aloo parathas, morning, evening, whatever. Father, what would you like to have? Aloo paratha. Now he doesn't touch. So now what consistently I have seen that he loves is his dosa.
His dosa, yeah, that I know.
He loves his dosa. Like you can give him dosa morning, evening, he doesn't mind having a dosa. And of course he loves fruits. Yes.
When he was at the ashram, he said he likes Bombay street food. So I don't know if that is true.
Yeah. He loves his vada pav.
Vada pav.
Only vada pav. Nothing else. He's not fond of any pav bhaji and all, but vada pav, even now, till the time he left now, I'm not sure now what he's liking, because every time it's a different. And I felt it's not that the taste of it, it's how he's working at that point of time, what energy his body needs at that time. Like he doesn't eat chilies at all. Like even the slightest of chili in the food and he will leave the food. He won't be able to eat. But there are times where he would ask for, like he would ask, Dugal, do you have a chili pickle? or would I have made chili pickle for him? That is the kind of thing. So I've always like whenever I've observed him, because I cook for him when he's here in Bangalore, and even when he used to come home, I have seen that when he's what kind of work that he's, because he is not the only a master who stays in the body. He does multi-dimensional work, which I don't think so we can explain in words. Somebody uh, who is accustomed to his working style would know that at one point people have seen him in 10 different places. That is the kind of master, that is the stature of his. So I feel that whenever he's working with whatever kind of work that he's doing, his taste buds also change according to that.
Well, then I was actually going to ask you if you know his favorite color or something like that, but I don't think that answer.
I think he likes brighter colors, but his favorite is white and blue. Blue is his most likely his like favorite.
Oh,
but that also changes with mood.
Oh. I thought it was also maroon, no? He had a maroon kurta.
He has many. See, it is very difficult, I would say. In all these 9 years, I've hardly seen him shopping, I think 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
Usually, whatever he wears, sometimes he is in a mood that he would like to buy clothes, but usually he only wears what people give. Like, he's not too bothered. Of course, he likes to be well dressed because he's a public personality. He has to dress up to appropriately along because he has to visit people, dignitaries, public functions. So he has to dress up there. But at the same time, he's not very fidgety about, he loves colors. But there are times when he prefers to wear only whites and pastel blues. But you don't know, it's all in the mood. Sometimes he would just wear very lively, brighter colors. And there are times when he would say, I would prefer wearing only white.
Okay, all right. So I'm not going to ask any more favorites because I think I got it.
Okay. No, of course, whatever I know, I might be wrong as well. Somebody might come up tomorrow and say, no, Dugal, you were not correct. But this is what has been my observation.
So Didi, so far in your journey, I mean, I think this question resonates with a lot of people. We all go through ups and downs in life, and I know personally about some of yours because you shared your experience in Sri Lanka with us. What, how do you hold on to faith? How have you transformed after meeting Mohanji in handling these situations?
There have been many, Pooja. That is what I'm saying, that if I really go back in my life, there are so many incidences in my life where he has held me completely. And I could just go through that so easily. Be it when I lost my sister 2.5 years ago, she was just 42. And she was going through a lot of hell. She had lost her husband 9 months before she passed off. And her journey was not very good. She was struggling with life. And it was really painful to see her in that situation. And the way Mohanji held me was impeccable. Like, you can't even imagine. Like, he would just call me up and say, okay, Dugal, don't think about it. Okay. He would just like kind of divert your mind. Now, when I look back, it is like he would divert your mind to something else. And the day she died in January, and I got a call from, whatever happens in my life, first thing is that I have to tell him that. So when I messaged him that she's passed on, he said, don't worry, she's being taken care of, and don't be very emotional about it. Everybody has their own journey, and which I've understood in these years. Of course, you have attachments because they are part of you. You do have attachments with them.
Yeah.
But then the most beautiful part was the day I came back to Bangalore, he came. He had no work in Bangalore.
Yeah.
I know that. He had no work in Bangalore. But the day I returned, I got a message that Mohanji is coming tomorrow. And he came to Bangalore and stayed with me for 15 days.
Wow.
And those 15 days, And I was very emotional. I never knew how to be out of that emotion. I was very heavy with emotion because I had just lost a sister, and it was not easy to go through that pain. But the moment he landed in the house, where that pain went, I can't tell you. And in this 15 days, he just took everything out of me. By the time that when he left after 15 days, I was like her 13th day passed or all. My mother called me up and she said, "You don't remember? It was a 13th day. You never called me." I said, "I don't remember."
Oh my God. Wow.
Not a tear did I shed after that. I have never missed her after that. It's 2.5 years now. I've never shed a tear. I've never ever even felt that I miss her. Nothing. That is how he works. He will never tell you this.
Yeah, he will never.
Similarly, in 2019, my daughter was going through the worst of periods. In not 2019 was the end, but in 2016-17, she was going through a worst of her period with health. And in April, she finished with her 12th exams. I took her to Delhi for treatment. She was admitted in the hospital. And Mohanji was just traveling by through Delhi. He was supposed to go to Dharamshala. At that time, he used to stay in Dharamshala. And he knew that he called me up and said, "Where are you?" I said, "Mohanji, I'm in Delhi with Riddhima. My daughter's name is Riddhima, in the hospital." So he said, "What did the doctor say?" I said, "They are in very dark. They don't know what the problem is, because every test they are doing, they are not able to decipher what exactly is the problem that she's going through, but she's going through hell. She had some skin issues."
Yeah.
And she was going through a very, very worst of her times, I would say.
And as a mother, you cannot see it, no? As a mother.
Yeah, it was there. But then he gave me the strength to go through that. That also is so amazing. And he said, "I'm landing in Delhi in the morning and I'll come to see you." I said, "Mohanji, please don't do that, because you only have 5 hours in Delhi. People are waiting to meet you. And the hospital where I am is just the opposite side of where you have to go. I was supposed to go to Gurugram, and I was on the opposite. I was in South Delhi." I said, "Please don't do that." He said, No, you don't worry. I'll come." He came to the hospital, and usually he doesn't go anywhere. Personal visits he hardly ever does. So I would say it is nothing less than grace. He came to the hospital and he just hugged my daughter. Like, of course, for her also, he was more like a grandfather or somebody he loves. So he just hugged her like this, and she just patted on her shoulder and she started crying. So he just patted on her shoulder like this and said, "Don't worry, Riddhima, you will be fine. You will be perfectly all right." And then he casually, like 5-10 minutes, he sat with me and spoke about her condition and what doctors and reports and all that. And then he said, "Okay, I'll leave." I just asked him, "Have you had your breakfast?" He said, No. And I know he used to have his dinner at 5, and it was already 10:30 by the time. And I was feeling so guilty that because of me, he's still going hungry. He said, No, don't worry, I'll manage." And then I went down to drop him. And then he said, "Okay, I'll just grab a dosa from the canteen in the hospital." That is the kind of person that he is. So accommodating, he has no inhibitions on things. And he left, and doctor came and told me that, "Mrs. Dugal, we'll have to discharge her tomorrow because we don't know what exactly is her problem. Maybe you can bring her back sometime later, because we are not able to pinpoint to a exactly what is the problem which is triggering this condition in her." It discharged her the next day, and third day again she had an attack, and I took her back to the hospital. And my daughter, in front of the doctor, started crying that it's better I die rather than living like this. And to see an 18-year-old girl going through so much was something which was unbelievable. And suddenly this guy said, "Wait, I know somebody who can help you with this. There is another doctor. He's a senior dermatologist. He has just come back from after 6 months from US. He's a very senior and a very acknowledged dermatologist. Like it takes 6 months to get his appointment, but I will try if I can get you the appointment. Yeah. And he called up his PA and the PA said, okay, you send them, but it will take a couple of hours till the time that doctor can see. And you won't believe, within 1.5 hours, the doctor saw her. And he was so confirmed with this that he said, don't worry, I will be able to treat you.
Wow.
Amazing. It was only Mohanji's grace that we could actually reach that doctor. And believe me, there are 6 months of appointments to meet him.
Wow. Wow.
And within 1.5 hours, and he was so assured of it.
Yeah.
And then he asked us to buy some injections that had to be given to her, which were about 100,000 rupees, one injection.
Wow.
And there were 6 injections to be given to her. He said, please, I know it's expensive, but this is something I'm sure will help her. So when I came back home, I told my husband. He said, initially we were a little upset. But then he said, okay, doesn't matter, we will take a loan or something, but this is something which is very important for the child. Yeah. And when we called up, then he gave us the number of the pharmaceutical company who was exporting this, importing this medicine from US. This was an injection from the US. So the import duty was very high. Yeah. That is why it costed that much. So they said, we have extra consignment which has come, so we will give it for 80,000. So that was also like, okay, the grace coming to us, because whatever was less was always a grace that I felt. Yeah. And you won't believe, Pooja, when we went to buy it, we got it for 40,000.
What?
Yes.
Oh my God. Wow.
Because they said there has been a surplus supply of the injection. So we have reduced the rate from 100,000 rupees to 42,000 something.
Oh my God.
What do you call this?
I don't even have words to, oh my God, amazing.
This is all his grace.
His grace.
And then later, because Rajesh and Mishra ji used to, that time Mishra ji used to travel with him, and Rajesh had visited Dharamshala at that time. And he told me that that 1 week, Mohanji had severe allergies on his body. Severe allergies. He never told me that. It was them who told me. And he had to actually take medicine for that because it was so severe. And I know that when he had hugged my daughter, he had taken everything, whatever at that time he could, had taken everything, and he cleared the path to go to that place, to go to that doctor who could treat her well. And just otherwise imagine a medicine which is costing 100,000 rupees to be given to us for 40,000 rupees. Wow. Unbelievable. It's not a coincidence. I don't think it's to be coincidence.
Yeah, when you told me that Mohanji hugged your daughter Ridhima, right away I knew that he took things on her. Yes. I understood that right away. Amazing. Like I hope people actually listen to this entire interview because it's going to be amazing. Didi, 2 more questions I think we'll conclude, but one question I wanted to know. I know you've said so much because you've traveled so much with Mohanji. You have such a personal interaction with Mohanji. But is there one moment, and I actually even asked this question to Hanumatananda as well. Was there one moment where you just went, wow, like just completely blow your mind when it comes to Mohanji? Any moment or any situation, just one. If
every moment is that, every moment, because we don't know what is coming to us. Every moment is that moment. At least I have had these experiences. There are so many of them. But one incident which etched completely in my mind was, it was just, I think, the first or the second trip to Bangalore when he was staying with us. And before he came, like when I met him, I used to get these dreams. And it was very, very prominent in my mind that in my dream, I used to visit a cave. There was no opening to that cave. I used to just enter. How I would enter the cave, I don't know. How would I come back? I don't know. But I used to enter into a cave, which was like completely closed from all sides. Only one dot of light, sunlight coming into, and it was all cobwebs and like as if nobody has entered or come here for ages and innumerable years. Years is a very linear, I would say, time to say that. And I would see one human figure sitting in sadhana, I would say. I would never see the face, who he is or who she is, but I could actually just see because it was completely dark, one figure, human figure sitting in sadhana, complete sadhana, two snakes behind protecting him, and one little diya, like very, very small, lighted in front of him. And I would stay there for hours and then come back. And when I met people and they spoke about Babaji, and I used to think maybe I go and see Babaji there. So this was a question, like one day I and Mohanji were sitting alone. There was nobody else. We were having our breakfast. And because I was very inquisitive to know who that human figure is that I see. So I asked him this question. I told him that, Mohanji, I see this dream very often. And this dream has been with me since even before I met you. And I don't know who this person is. So he was eating his food and suddenly looked up to me and said, who do you think he is? So I said, I feel it's Babaji. So he didn't reply. Then 2 minutes later, he said, are you sure? So I said, no, I'm not sure. This is just a thought I feel. And then the conversation ended. I never had any, and he never confirmed, neither did I say anything. Then in the evening, the satsang was on. Like I said, every evening we used to have a satsang. So people were sitting, asking questions and all. And I was sitting next to him. There was a wall there. My back rested on the wall. And just adjacent to his seat, I was sitting there. And people were asking questions. Suddenly I saw that he looked at me like this. Just a glimpse, like a glance towards me. And I went into trance. Complete trance. I can hear people, but I can't move. My eyes are closed. I have no control over my body. And I reached that cave again. And that day, I discovered who he was. He showed me it was him, not Babaji.
Wow, mind blowing.
And then maybe it was 3, 4, 5 minutes. And then suddenly I came back in the body and I looked at him. He looked at me. There was a contact in the eyes. He had that beautiful smile that he has, asking me, did you get your answer?
Let me conclude. We'll ask you one last question. Didi, just, because we are acharyas today and our goal is to serve the society. And I wanted to know how, from Preeti Duggal, that was before she met Mohanji, to Preeti Duggal today, and being an acharya and being, and you're so involved in everything in the Mohanji family. How has Mohanji transformed you and empowered you to do what you're doing?
In many ways, Pooja. I don't think so. I remember Preeti Duggal as I was in 2012 and 13 to Preeti Duggal that I am today. It has been a continuous journey. I can't say that, okay, after this I turned this and after that I turned that. It has been a continuous journey from the day I met him, the first Shaktipat that I received that day, and till now. It's been a continuous journey of transformations, breaking patterns, breaking emotions. And yeah, but now I would not say 100%, but I would say that I understand things with little more awareness. And also not taking onus for whatever that you do. I always feel that whatever I am doing, and even I always pray to him on that never let my emotions take over. Yeah. Never let my ego take over to say that, oh, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. and I was not applauded for this, or I was not awarded for this, because it doesn't matter at the end of the day. What matters the most is that I have his blessings. At it's like Pooja, I would say my connection with him is to a point. The day I tell myself, or the day I feel that I'm missing him today, I'm feeling low, I'm feeling, wherever in the world he is, I will get a message from.
Amazing.
That very moment, though he will not say that why he like he would just message me or call me for some other work.
Yeah.
It would be a random work.
Yeah.
But just to make me feel or make me realize I listen to you. One last incident I would tell you very recently, because he's been out from Bangalore for almost more than 2 months now.
Yeah.
And because we as humans are more attached to the physical aspect of people. So I'm a little more greedy, I would say, that because I tend to see him more often. So I was really feeling that I have not met him. It's been 2 months now. And it was night, around midnight. I was not completely asleep. I was half asleep, I would say. And usually while I'm going off to sleep, I chant his Gayatri all the time. And there is one, like a diya lit in my room. So there's little light in the room. And I was just chanting his Gayatri. And before that, only this thought came. It's been so many days, I have not seen him. And suddenly the door to my bedroom opened just a little. The latch of, like it was actually that somebody with a latch had opened the door. And initially I thought maybe it was my son or somebody, because my son usually sometimes comes in to check if we are asleep or awake. But there was nobody. But I never felt any fear or something that, oh, I just felt it's Mohanji. Wow. And then I went off to sleep. It was like, because I was half asleep, maybe a couple of seconds later, I felt somebody had put a hand on my right hand. I could actually feel the right hand. Wow. And suddenly I woke up, completely awake. There's nobody in the room. But I knew it was him. And my spine was like as if on fire.
Wow. My spine is on fire right now.
I was like, I had energy as if somebody had pumped in some kind of, just one stroke like a mother on my hand. And actually, believe me, I felt as if like a mother who puts the child to sleep. I'm a very silent, like a very, I don't sleep very well at night. Like I keep waking up 2-3 times at night. I'm a very a shallow sleeper, I would say. Like one little noise or something and I get up. But that night, I slept like a baby.
Amazing.
And next morning, I messaged him that, Mohanji, did you come tonight? He said, I always come to see my people. I take care of them. But some people understand my coming and some people don't understand when I come. But I do my duty. Whenever somebody connects with me, it is my responsibility that I take care of them. But it's always good if people disconnect, then it's less work for me. But it was so distinct. When I'm telling you this, I can feel that that touch on my hand. Wow. It was so distinctive. It was not, because immediately the moment I felt that touch, I opened my eyes and I saw there was nobody in the room.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing. Didi, you and I can continue talking. I don't know how many hours, and we can do how many interviews if I will do, and I would know more and more about it. But I think we should conclude. We've been on conversation for almost an hour. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I think
thank you to you for inviting me for this.
No, thank you so much. It was so amazing. And I loved listening to your stories.
It's going back to the memory lane and reliving those moments. Thank you for letting me do that, because it's complete bliss, nothing else.
Yes. Thank you so much, Didi.
Thank you
And
so much.
thank you,
Thank
Jai
you.
Mohanji.
Jai Mohan.
Yeah.
Thank you.